Alright guys, so I want to make a video clearing up some things about strategies for getting women online and offline, and is it over for you if you're sub this, you're sub 4, or you're sub 6, you're sub 7, however it is for you or not. It's not that simple. I think everyone kind of knows what I'm going to say right here, but it's a way to just kind of put it on a piece of paper, put it on the board, and kind of show what's going on. So let's just go by women, all right? So like I'd say, all right, so the recent study we got was what, 40%? Okay, I guess it's easy to just think half, all right, for this exercise. For the most part, I'd say 40 to 50% women are using the online gaming, online, and they're on the apps, and they're okay with it. For some reason, you don't hear complaints from them, because you see half a woman, they say they've been online, they tried it, and they're just not feeling it. They end up attracting guys that want to bang them, and so they end up deleting the app, or they use it for validation. It's either they use it for validation, or they end up deleting the app because there's too many sketchy guys. That's the thing I constantly hear from some girls. And then the other half is like, they don't say this kind of complaint. Maybe they know how to market themselves better, not that hoey, or maybe they just know how to, like I said, they know how to market themselves better, or their race or their look is not fetishized as much. Who knows? But they stay on the apps, and they don't, I guess, give up like the one on the right, or they don't, you know. But anyways, so I'd say one half is actively using it for men. The other half just relies on, in real life, because they don't like online. Because women in general don't like the fact of, swiping on men and stuff like that. I mean, some superficial women are more how do I say this? It is more in tune with how they act, or some women are a little more robotic. They also go online. But anyways, half and half. That's how I see. Now, if you're gonna go for this side, if you're gonna do this strategy, the online strategy, which, like I said, it's like 40% to 50%. The optimal age, I think, is just gonna got a cough, but the optimal age, I'd say, is 27 to 37. It's most likely optimal. There's one where you just have more choice because you're dating older women, and that gives you less desperation if you have a younger girl, because you already have some other options. You don't have nothing. It's just mathematics. I mean, if you're older, you're just gonna have more options in general. So when a cute one does come around, you're not that desperate because you have mathematically more options than your 20-year-old self. Another thing is, men usually, if they stay fit, they don't get fat. They actually look better when they're 27, 28 than they do when they're 20, 21, 22. And a lot of men can retain this kind of look up to like 36, 37, and girls around 30 or even 28, 27 don't mind dating guys in their early 30s. Trust me on that, especially in the West Coast. Maybe in small towns, or I don't know, maybe they date their high school sweetheart, but in the cities, they're dating guys 5 to 10 years older. Could be even rare times a little more than that, but yeah, I'd say the most optimal age for online is 27, 37. Minimum, I'd say, to have a decent time, I'd say a 6 out of 10 facially. 5 out of 10 can work if you optimize your picks and you give yourself, like, you have really awesome professional picks, then 5, 10 could maybe work. But a 6, 10 with optimal picks, I think, is best. 5 out of 10 can work if you're older, like I said, just because of mathematics. But for the most part, I'd say minimum 6 out of 10 is for a good, decent time with optimized picks. Now, the thing is, especially in your 20s, you're dating down 1 to 2 points below, usually. I've seen guys say they have a lot of matches, and even if the guy's good looking, a lot of them are 1 point below him, or sometimes 2 points below him. But if they're banging, then, that's his thing. But In your 30s, you can kind of get your looks matched for the most. Sometimes it's more easier to get your looks matched, but if you're young, you're going to be dating down a bit just because of the baby face, ruining your looks. I think that can help that is if you get really lean, like around 10%, 10 to 12, you can equivalate to yourself to a mature looking face and not get that bloated face that you get once you're around 15 and higher, especially in your 20s. Um, so you're battling, right? I mean, online, this is pretty much how it is for the most part. I mean, you got everyone, all the scraps, getting the leftovers, and the middle range, you get some kind of um, decent looking dudes, but nothing, chattish material. And then at the top, they're just like they just mog everyone else and get the pick, um, the girls online. And then to be in that top, you got to be lean, fun pics, fit. Um, yeah, it's more of a winner take all, or play niche game. You got to fit a niche, whether that's tattooed, um, I don't know, tattooed low key thug or tattooed punk or preppy white boy. I don't know, K-pop. You got to do something, some niche. But other than the niches out there, yeah, it's pretty much winner take all. Location also matters for that too. Um, a little star point, yeah, in action, sophisticated. That's kind of how you win this thing. Got to have in action pics. Um, Sophisticated professional photo shoot, kind of corny stuff. Things that a guy will say is gay or corny, like a guy, like a buff dude with a dog with a little baby dog in the park. You know what I mean? Like just your guy friends will say it's gay, but this is the kind of stuff that works. In action, sophisticated, lean, fit, fun. Yeah. Downsides is this technically this is not the proper way to meet people. So if you're meeting strangers and they're meeting you, grown women are usually meeting you off superficial attributes. Um, yeah. So whenever it's not natural, but that's kind of how it is these days. So yeah, they're strangers, and it might be from a superficial bias from the woman. Not always though, not always, but a lot of the time. Now that's if you want to go that route. Now, if you want to go the normie route, uh, now here I say this is the more I call it. This is the winner take all, the online kind of theory, online kind of route. Now this route is the social circle normie route. That's like the 80s, 90s, and still today, obviously. But it's not like 70% of how marriages happen or relationships. It's less. It's like 40 or 50 or 60. So I say 50 to 60%, but let's just say half for easiness. But as you get older, it's hard to do this kind of route. I say the optimal age, especially for starting in this route, is age 16 to 27. Is when people your age are more eager to just socialize and just hang out and meet people. After 27, 28, it gets harder. I know a 29-year-old guy that social maxed and did it successfully. I will say though he's a major baby face, and um, he's just yeah he's more neurotypical than me, so more I mean he did it, but it's a rare case. But the optimal, yeah, 16 to 27. I'd say the minimum requirements here is 4 out of 10, because I've seen 4 out of 10s do the normie route and they get a 5 out of 10 or 4 out of 10 girlfriend. And you have to be NT. You have to be neurotypical. You can't be autistic. You can't be looking at like dating. You can't be looking at these PhD black pill articles and being autistic. No, you have to be pretty NT and almost blue pill a little bit, or at least can fraud blue pill. But for the most part, yeah, you have to be NT. Typically you have to, know how to speak like a normal person. Not like Mark Zuckerberg or anything like that. Yeah, minimum 4 out of 10. Yeah, and this is if you really want to get your looks matched, this is probably the best route. You don't want to wait and do that whole 5% man, alpha man kind of thing. Career max, gym max, jacked max. Okay, pad maxed, all that stuff. If you don't want, if you really just want a normal relationship, you're better off leaving. You're better off going the route on the right. And doing the normie route. If you're, especially if you're between 16 and 27, people are more eager to socialize. It could be 25, but I know some cases that they've been late 20s. But I don't want to put 30 because I think it's starting to get a little too late. Um, there are some ways how to do it at 30, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video. And I think you might know it already. But for the most part, yeah, if you want to get your looks matched and LTR, you're better off doing this route. And this is the way I see it. It's more bubble theory. All right. So most people just socialize within their bubbles. They never really socialize outside their bubbles. They don't, you don't see church people hanging out with club people. You don't see preppy people hanging out with hood people. Every now and then a little bit, but for the most part, people stay in their enclaves. And hang out with them, that enclave, and practice the social dynamics within that little enclave bubble. A good, so I call it bubble theory. So for most people, it's old friends from high school, maybe some people from your old neighborhood, the hood, maybe. Might be upper middle class bougie bubble, might be your work bubble. A friend from work and his friends bubble, a waspy bubble, a preppy waspy bubble, some superficial people, a bubble, a church bubble, college friends bubble. I mean, you start from one person, a reference, and they introduce you, and then yeah, maybe you go to the bar at work, and then just a friend of a friend. An old friend you meet, things like that. Like, oh, let me introduce you to him, and then you see how you work. I know a guy that Social Max drew this method. Tips he's told me is that if you don't fit within a bubble, move on. Like a Chad from a hood bubble is not gonna get through becoming a Chad in a waspy bubble. A Chad from a waspy bubble or from a secular bubble is not gonna be a Chad. It's not gonna do well. It's not gonna be no, like a church leader. You'd be surprised. Church leaders get status if you do the work and you're volunteering and you're leading formations. You're not going to get that as a secular chatty if all you're concerned about is looks. I mean, you have to really be involved and forming a social group. And in even the church bubble, the church leaders usually get the pick of the litter because they're leaders. Girls like leaders. In these bubbles, like I see, there's Chads here. The Chads here. There are also many like Chads within every bubble, every kind of club. But yeah, one of the main takeaways from my friend is that yeah, if you're not fitting with a bubble, move on. You're not gonna get with those kinds of people, then move on, and then find another one where you fit, where they're like you. Sometimes they don't like how you look, they don't like how you speak, they don't like how you act, they don't like they think you look poor. Who knows? There's many people judge a lot. My Asian friend who couldn't act Asian enough could not get respected in the Asian bubble, and he wasn't STEM maxed, so he had to find a more humble bubble, which is fine. That's just the way the world is. But it's bubble theory, and if you don't fit into any of these, and you try, then you can't. It's hard to do this route, and I can see why most men kind of go that route. But yeah, the trick is to get female friends within these bubbles. If you can, and if you can't, and you've tried and you can't get female friends, try to make friends with a guy who does make female friends in the tops parts of these bubbles. I know this is what thing I still can't do, where I see a guy that's very easygoing with girls. I avoid him completely because I feel mogged by him, social mogged. And they're usually sometimes flamboyant. And again, intimidated how the fact he can talk to the girl so easily. So I avoid him completely so I don't get social mocked. But the thing is, that's the opposite. You should be befriending that guy, because in every kind of bubble, there's like a pimp. There's a guy that all the girls can talk to easily, one or two guys. And then all the rest guys are just hunters that kind of low-key creeps that the girls kind of avoid. And then maybe the rest are like normies in the middle. But your thing is to befriend the pimp of the bubble if you can. And he should help you out. Or not he should help you out, he might help you out. But if you can, try to be that guy who gets female friends. And another thing is, if you can get more bubbles, try to get more bubbles. You know, if you can get this bubble, try to connect to as much bubbles as you can. If you get more people, and that's like the normie route I see, the way I observe society. And like I said, here it's more might be strangers, and it might work, and it's not too natural. And this one, usually your bubble fits the similar vibes you bring. They fit the similar philosophies you have. So when you get relationships from this, a lot of times they last longer than the relationships from this side, just because it's more natural. Not saying you can't get one from this side, but mostly Chad lights and Chads or older dudes are going to be able to succeed from this route. Have a big number so they can see who matches them. You know, this, you don't get that much of a number to play around with, but from the ones you do, it might take much less women to get to one that you like and is somewhere around your looks level in this route, the normie route. Yeah, so that's two ways I've observed society. Half there's that strategy, and then half is this strategy. The online, great pics, fit, lean, Chad, or older, guy, mature guy, Chad kind of route, or the normie bubble theory route. But like I said, this one has a bit of an expiration date, especially once you get towards 27, 28, 31. Once you start getting towards that, most men I've seen at that age, 30, late 30s, it's 100% online. With sometimes they get results from geomaxing and cold approaching and less less feminist countries, but for the most part, yeah, it's I see this division, you know, so it's you can't really say, oh, it's sub, you know, if you're not getting shit on here, you're not going to get shit here. That's very, very different worlds. It depends whenever you talk about someone's SMV or how someone's doing, and you have to ask them, are you talking about this direction, this route, or this route? But yeah, that's my talk.